Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today we are doing the epic, I guess it's the beginning of our epic series that we're going to do, the Crisis series. The Crises, or Crisis. I don't know, whatever the plural for crisis is. And we're going to do the DC Crisis books, starting with Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we're going to do part one because it's 12 issues long. So we're going to split it into two, just so you guys, so one, we don't go crazy, and two, you guys can follow it a little bit easier, hopefully.
And especially after we finish this part one, I'm like, I'm glad we split this in two because this was a lot to take in initially.
Yeah, so this is actually, I think, is considered the first maxi series because it's 12 issues because you have mini series, which are 6 issues. This is a maxi series, so it's like that's like a new thing that they created just for this.
Just for this, okay.
And there's a couple more maxi series that have come after it. So it's like a format that people use sometimes. Not
all the Crisis maxi series?
No. I think Final Crisis is just 6
or
7 maybe. Infinite Crisis I think is just 6. So, but this one is the one that's like you started it all. And let me give a little bit of history on this. So this was basically because everybody was like, it's real hard for DC writers to like keep everything straight, and then also it's real hard for readers to jump into DC. Because, I guess they were falling behind in sales at around this time, early 80s, to Marvel. And they're like, what can we do? And it just seemed like everything was bogged down so much by everything going on. You had so many different storylines that had happened over the last, 50 years or whatever that were like, Superman went to another world and met evil Superman. And now that someone at some other time used the evil Superman and created the crime syndicate, and that's Earth 3, and there's all these different fucking worlds that have so much shit going on, and it's just hard for a reader to jump in and know who's what's going on, where are we at, what's a multiverse, what the fuck, and also they had acquired a bunch of new characters, so you gotta think they had, I think before this or earlier before this, they had bought the Shazam characters, the Captain Marvel Shazam family, which they had to incorporate somehow into the DCU. And then also they bought the Charlton characters, Blue Beetle, The Question, Captain Atom. And those you might recognize as the people who were used to base the characters from The Watchmen on. So you got The Question, who's supposed to be Rorschach. You got Blue Beetle, who's supposed to be Owlman. And then you got Captain Atom, who's supposed to be Dr. Manhattan. Yeah. So, and originally Alan Moore wanted to, with those brand new characters, write them as the Watchmen. It would have just been called whatever they're called or whatever. I don't know if it was still been called the Watchmen, but he was going to use those characters to be in that story. And then they're like, no, because we want to use them for other stuff too, and you're going to make them fucked up or whatever. So it's like, all right, I'll
make my own character.
Yeah, I'll do a version of them, So that's what he did. And so that's why you get the Watchmen, because these characters came into being into the Marvel universe, or the DC universe. And that's what gave the idea for Watchmen and stuff. So and all those Blue Beetle and The Question, those are some of my favorites. Those are all old Steve Ditko characters from the 60s. And or at least his versions of them are the ones that came into the DCU.
That they killed.
Yes.
Eventually.
They killed Blue Beetle.
I only say that because I know that there are newer versions from there. So it's like, all those things that you loved, we killed them.
Yeah. Well, they're going to do that. I mean, they killed Superman.
I'm just messing with you specifically.
They killed Hal Jordan, John.
That's true.
They killed Hal Jordan. And then they brought him back. So, yeah, they're always going to bring him back eventually. So
that's true.
They even brought back, they killed The Question, then they replaced him, and then they got rid of her, and then they brought him back. So where are we at? I don't know.
That's true. I feel like DC at least holds out longer when bringing people back.
like
I feel like they kill him for a
longer time for sure.
Marvel.
At least 3 years. I mean, you got at least 3 years before Superman came back. Same with like Batman when they broke his back.
Yeah,
he wasn't dead, but he was out for a while. And then like when they killed you, they killed you. Like this. I mean, spoilers. We'll spoil a little bit, but
you're gonna spoil this for me.
Oh, I guess I won't spoil this.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay, we won't spoil this specific comic
because I haven't read this.
Yeah, I haven't read this either. Yeah, I just know it.
You just know, yeah.
I just know what happens. But some big people die in this book.
I can tell from the cover of the next
issue
that somebody important dies.
Yeah.
Besides that.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah. So that's what the history of this is. Basically, DC was like, shit. Our sales are falling. We can tell it's hard for the readers to like figure out what's going on. Therefore, they don't want to new readers don't want to pick up new books that they see because they're like, I don't know where this starts. I don't know where this is. I don't know what's going on. So. How about we reboot everything, collapse all of these crazy, infinite storylines. Like there was a storyline in the 60s where the Flash met with Jay Garrick. Like the Barry Allen Flash met with Jay Garrick, and there's one of the iconic covers of the Flash is them running side by side, and there's a wall in between them, and then the wall ends, and they like see each other running, and they're like, huh? Like another Flash person or another fast person, and so. They're looking at each other like, whoa. And that's like the first multiverse. So that's why it's Earth 2. It's because like Earth 1 our world is like Earth Prime, the reality world.
Okay.
They didn't even mention that shit. And then you have Earth 1, which is the universe where like the normal stories happen. The Earth 2 is where like the golden age happened. So that's where you get the Justice Society of America. You get old school Green Lantern, old school.
So the
Flash.
the golden age isn't even part of Earth.
No, not even part of Earth 1. It's Earth 2.
It's
and
Earth
so
2.
And it's still happening.
It's still it's still going on. Okay, wow.
That's why it never ended. It's those heroes are still those heroes.
Just on Earth 2.
Just on Earth 2.
Gotcha.
And so so you get all these different Earths and see that's how confusing it is. Like if you want to write a story now, we got to figure out how to cross this multi-dimensional barrier. Somehow they're in our world or whatever, and now we got to do this thing. So if we want to have both Supermans team up, old Superman and young Superman or whatever, they're going to, you got to figure out a way to make it get through there. So, and that's the complication they were having. So they're like, okay, we're going to do this crisis event. We're going to collapse all those things into one universe, one world. So it'll just be Earth 1, and we're going to kill off a bunch of characters. We're going to, I guess with the Earths like all coming into one Earth, we're going to have, I guess some heroes get erased. Because like Captain Atom gets erased, and some other people get erased. And that way, I mean, Captain Atom doesn't do anything, so.
Spoilers.
It's not even a spoiler. He just gets erased. There's nothing. I didn't even think they show him get erased or anything. I think they never mentioned him.
They're just like, oh, who
he's not in this season or the 6 issues we saw. So, but yeah, so like that's what this was all about. It was about them like collapsing it into more understandable stuff. You get a refresh because you get some new characters coming out of it. New series that people can read up on characters that they hadn't read before. So that's what it was. And it was a big success too. This was like a really big Hail Mary from DC, and it fucking paid off. And I don't understand how it paid off after reading these first 6 issues. But
because the next 6 are amazing, right?
I don't know.
That's what it is.
I read like the reviews of this after reading the first 6 issues because once again, I read DC. I've read DC for like 15 years now. Back stuff, intricate shit, like under, a lot of stuff. The whole death of Superman, the whole Green Lantern saga, all this stuff. And this was still me being like, who the fuck are these people? Like what is going on? So there was a lot going on in this. And so
a lot.
And we were talking about this earlier. We were kind of likening it to when we read the Infinity Gauntlet, because like there's a main story in there somewhere.
Yes,
you just have to weave through. You have to push aside all the characters they're throwing in,
Yeah, it's like they know it's a special event, so they want to throw in all these extra characters. They want to get everybody in there.
There was a reason for it, at least in this. Like, we're going to kill all these people.
They're going to kill a bunch. But still, it was like, we're going to get as many as we can. We're going to give as many as we can one-liners. We'll get, so they have a line like, whoa, that's crazy, Swamp Thing. Oh, that's wild, Mr. So-and-so,
Yeah. Also, there's one Swamp Thing tie-in for this that's in the middle of Alan Moore's run, and it's literally, he was just like, are you fucking serious? Like, I gotta write.
I'm doing one issue.
Yeah. That's basically what it was,
and
it makes no sense in the rest of the context of his storyline.
Nice.
He never mentions a crisis ever again or anything going on. It's pretty awesome. He just leaves it at that. Like, they even have Constantine and stuff in this.
Yeah,
and in Constantine, there is actually like a storyline that is like involved with this kind of stuff, where they're like, this white wall's coming towards us and all this shit. But
I feel like I could see them trying to make something of that. With Constantine, but
and it is, and it's good. Like, they made a cool version of it or whatever. But like, it just, I don't know, I don't know. It's like, for those characters, they just added them in just cause or whatever into this series. But if they had stuff in their own series, they were either like on their own with it, or they, like with Swamp Thing, they made him do one like special book that's for the Crisis thing or whatever. So anyway, now that we've been talking for like 10 minutes about the setup of this,
Crisis on
Infinite Earths, Part 1, dun dun dun.
Marv Wolfman.
Yeah, written by Marv Wolfman, who I think we read something by him where you were like, wow, that was shitty writing. I can't remember what it was though.
Those words did not come out of my mouth.
No, it was me probably, but I think it was. Well, I know he did the Dracula, the Blade. He wrote the first Blade that we read.
Okay, why he gets passed on that? Because
that was fine. I didn't mind the writing on that. There was something else that he wrote that we read. I was like, I don't know about that. Oh, Teen Titans.
Oh, was it?
It was Teen Titans.
Was Judas Contract?
Yeah, it was Judas Contract.
Oh man,
that's George Perez too. This is the same team for.
Okay, I was like the art did look familiar, especially because when they have the Teen Titans are in this.
The art is the same as Infinity Gauntlet too. So this guy just does epic storylines apparently. So that's why everything looked familiar to you. But this is from 1985. It ran from 1985 to 1986 because it was 12 issues. So a whole year went by. So right away, first thing happens in this book, first issue, you get the first chapter is called The Summoning, and the Big Bang happens, basically. They start off with the Big Bang. They're like, the universe is created, and something accidental happens where instead of one universe getting made like strongly, it like fractures at an accident, and like infinite universes are made, and each one isn't like strong enough to really hold itself together if there was ever an attack or anything, kind of thing. So whereas if all of them were together into one unified thing, it would be able to like fight off any attack or whatever on itself ish. That's kind of how they set it up. And then, so that's why this kind of happens, because all of a sudden, like, it jumps to current time after that, and we see on Earth 3, there's a wall of antimatter, a wall, like a big white wall that's just dissolving everything on this planet. And we see it's the crime syndicate's Earth, who is like is basically like evil. It's like the Justice League if they were evil. They've taken over the planet. They're like the rulers of the planet. So you got like evil Wonder Woman, who's Superwoman in this.
Ultraman
is
Superman.
Yeah, Superman. You get
Owlman.
Owlman is Batman. I can't remember who.
Johnny Quick.
Yeah, Johnny Quick. And then there's like I can't remember who the Green Lantern is, but there's a Green Lantern dude. But he's not Green Lantern. He's something else. But
Green Ring, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, like their Earth is getting like taken apart by this antimatter wall, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they're like actually trying to save people for once. They're like trying to fix the world and like trying to save it from decimation and everything, which is unrealistic for them or unusual for them.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, all of a sudden, this guy named Pariah, who we don't really know, you didn't know, I never heard of him before.
Nope.
So he's this guy. He is like the saddest guy in this whole thing, because his whole like reason for being is that he's like cursed to watch all these Earths disappear or like get killed. So he has to watch everybody die and then he just like transported to a new one.
Yeah.
And then another one and another one. So,
they're like, hey, you're here for the end of all this. Look at all these people dying, and zap, you're going somewhere else.
To the next place. So he gets to watch this happen. And the funny thing is, on this Earth, there's Luthor, but he's the good guy. There's Lex Luthor. And
he's married to Lois.
He's married to Lois. Yeah, exactly. And as this Earth is being collapsed, he gets home and he's like, quick, the baby. And like we've seen this before. Yeah, we've seen this before, where he's like, I made a ship that can travel through dimensions. We gotta get the baby in there. It can only hold one. So like, please, child, live on or whatever. And
live on, my son.
Yeah, exactly. In the Marlon Brando voice or whatever. And then so they send him away. He gets out just in time. He ends up in the outer, just outside of Earth 1, and he lands in the Justice League satellite, which is not in use anymore. So they just left space trash up there.
Yeah, space trash. Wow. Thanks, superheroes.
Superman litters. All right. So, so he's a baby just sitting there. No one knows he's there. And then we get introduced to like the main kind of protagonist of this comic. There's the Monitor, who was a character that I guess was introduced earlier, like in Teen Titans. Like Marv Wolfman was setting him up in Teen Titans to be someone, so that it made sense. Like it's not just some random person we don't know in this comic. So he had been set up, but he is the guy that like knows what's going on. He's like, there's some evil that's like killing everything, and I'm trying to save it. And he's got an assistant, they call her, but she's more than an assistant.
He acts like it seems like that at first because her name is Lila, but then she has an alter being
named Harbinger,
the Harbinger, which is actually this pretty badass. I like
yeah, she's actually pretty cool. And Monitor's like, do that thing I want you to do, and like go do what I told you to do. And she's like, like she's all like angry that he tells her what to do. So that's funny. I was like, why are they adding like weird like business relationship shit into this? But I guess they're trying to like round out these characters so you care, or so you don't know who's gonna die or whatever. So
I'm gonna go get that baby. I saw it appear. I'm going to get the baby. You do this thing I told you to do.
Yeah. So he goes to get the baby, and then Lila as Harbinger, he's like, go do that thing you do. And so like basically she breaks herself into like hundreds of pieces or whatever, and like separates into, they call them like replicants of her, which apparently really hurts because she's like, this fucking sucks. But she gets sent to all these different realities, and then she's like rounding up heroes and villains, just people to save the world.
Yeah, they've picked like, I guess so she kind of mentioned, she's like, why don't you get both of the Supermen? And he's like, just do what I told you to do. Yeah. So Monitor has picked out specific heroes and villains that he thinks will be best suited to help save everything from this horrible antimatter.
Yeah. For this collapse. Yeah. So like we said, Monitor goes to get Alexander Luthor Jr., who's the baby, in his interdimensional capsule. Or his, Moses boat, as you may say. And she goes, collects a bunch of people. Most of them don't matter. There's like, she gets Blue Beetle. She gets like the Monkey King or whatever from Ape City.
It said the Gorilla City. I was like, oh, is it going to be Grodd? And it's like, nope. It's this.
Well, Grodd's not the king of Gorilla City, so, but it's like the king guy. So they get him. They get some people. They get a bunch of people that don't really matter, like necessarily. Other than Blue Beetle, I was like, hey, it's Blue Beetle. But I think this is Blue Beetle's first appearance in DC, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, there were some. I was like, Orion, some kind of mage person.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's like in Atlantis before the fall, and whatever. And so, but the main person she gets that actually matters to the story is Psycho Pirate. She gets Psycho Pirate, and Psycho Pirate, if you don't know, is a badass character. He's fucking awesome, and everybody should love him. But he's one of my like underrated characters, like just like with Swamp Thing and stuff. Except there's no book about Psycho Pirate. You have to actually find like
because I had never heard of Psycho Pirate.
You have to find the weird issues of storylines that he's in. But he's one of my most underrated characters. I love him. He's cool in this. Like he's big instrumental in this. He's also really cool in the Grant Morrison Animal Man run, I believe is what that's from. if I'm remembering correctly. He's like a really big part in that, and I remember being like, "Holy shit, Psycho Pirate's fucking awesome!" After reading that, so go read. We should totally read Grant Morrison's Animal Man.
I'm down.
Now that we know who Psycho Pirate is, it'd be fun to read that. But so she's going to get all these people, and she's gonna like bring them back to the ship, like to start like basically Monitor's got a plan, but like we don't know what that is yet, and like now she's just trying to get all these people. And so while she's out getting one guy, what's his name, Aeon or something like that, or Axion or something.
Yeah, something like yeah, there was so many. There was like Firestorm.
There's the dude from Atlantis. When she's going to get him, she gets attacked by a shadow demon. We don't know what these are, but apparently they're like the big bads, like
Putty Patrol.
Well, yeah, they're his Putty Patrol, but they're the next level of the Putty Patrol.
Yeah, because they actually hurt people.
Because apparently he's got a Putty Patrol level of people that fight, and then he like made these guys his special guards so they can like go out everywhere. And so she fights one of these demons, these shadow demons. It corrupts her, so she comes back like with this one replicant that's corrupted. She gets pulled back to the ship, to the main ship with everybody, and like that one replicant now has corrupted her. So like now she's like,
I feel the darkness.
I feel it. The one part of 1/1,000,000th of me is evil.
But I feel it. I feel the pull towards the dark.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody, and then once everybody's back on the ship and Monitor's like, well, great, everybody ready for tea or whatever. Like then they all get attacked by shadow demons, and then Monitor's like, be gone.
Yeah.
Well, you shall not pass or whatever. And then like,
he shines his light really bright, and they're like,
yeah. And shadows can't live in light. So, so that's like the first issue, like just the collection of all these people.
I am Monitor, and I have summoned you.
Yeah. Listen to me. And so, so then the second issue kind of starts, well, that was called Time and Time Again, and it's like time is blending in these places. So
yeah, this was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's. Did you know any of these early characters? And stuff?
I didn't, but I kind of like I did a little bit as I read along for some things, and it was cool to see like, oh wow, these are like there's like some caveman people, and then they have some like interaction with like they're like chasing mastodons, and he hits his head, and then like he sees like
woolly mammoths.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
It's mastodons. This is that. Same.
I don't even know if it's the same thing.
And he like hits his head, and he sees like a futuristic city, and they're like, "Oh no, you're just." Then they all. And
this is like a caveman. This is Anthro is his name. He's supposed to be like the first person, or whatever. Like,
but yeah, then the other people look over. They're like, "We're crazy. We didn't see anything. It's because you hit your head." And that's cool because it's like starts to show like how
worlds are
antimatter is like. Causing all the
it is too is the antimatter is also in all time. So like if it's not just happening in our time, our current time, like if you go back in history, like in time to when Anthro's alive, there's the antimatter walls in the same spot.
Yeah.
So like everybody's getting erased from all time and all material or whatever. So it's kind of an interesting thought and a scarier thought, I guess, than just. Well, we lived a good life. And it's like, no, it's just erasing everything. All the time and everything. So all of time and space. And so the realities are blending. Like you said, the mammoths, they're chasing them. And then the mammoths show up in the 30th century with the Legion of Superheroes. And they're like, what is going on? What are these mammoths about? And then, then they disappear. And then another way it's showing this is Batman's fighting the Joker who just killed someone. And like as he's fighting the Joker, he gets like shot with some whatever from his flower because this is like the lame Joker. This is before like he gets badass or whatever. And
sticky putty.
Yeah. He's or whatever the fuck soap bubbles or whatever the fuck he would have back then. Got you with my laughing juice or whatever. And so yeah, this is like the 60s TV show Joker still, and he's drawn like that too. I don't really like the way that he was drawn in this.
Yeah,
But anyway, so Batman's fighting him, and then all of a sudden the Flash appears in front of him, and the Flash looks fucking wrecked. And he's just like, please help me. like the world is going to be destroyed if you don't do. And then he like disappears and like dissolves. And it's like, wait, if I don't do what? Like, what's going on?
Batman's like, what? Joker gets away. He's like, doesn't even care. He's like, what just happened?
Yeah, like what? And I was like, oh, this is kind of like when in the Justice League when that was supposed to kind of happening.
Yeah, that made me think of that exactly when Flash is in the
Justice Cut. Snyder Cut's gonna have all this.
Snyder Cut's gonna come out and it's gonna be amazing, right?
Yes, fuck yes. I'm Snyder Cut all the way.
I am too. You know, like I liked Justice League overall. It has its moments.
I didn't like it.
It has its downfalls too. But I think now that we're gonna get a full vision, it's the same thing with like some of the new Star Wars. Like, well, I like them all, but
I think it's gonna be like. I felt like with Justice League, and we're on a tangent here, but so bear with us. With Justice League, the movie that came out, it's kind of like Constantine, the movie, where all the cool stuff was one guy's vision, and all the stuff I didn't care for was some other guy's vision.
That's true. I bet.
So like, I want the full one guy's vision just to see if I liked it all the way, you know, like because I liked some of the stuff that I could tell was not, or that was not part of the second guy's vision. So, you know. So anyway, I hope some of this obviously is taken from that, which is kind of cool. So I'm down with that. So, but yeah, so then we find out what the Monitor's plan is. We cut back to the Monitor spaceship, and we have basically he has set up around some of these planets. We don't know how many of these Earths. They're all Earths though. They're all like. And the way they show it, I like the way they show how the Earths are like in order or whatever. But like, it's like here's the Earth, and then there's like a glass plate kind of looking, and then there's another Earth, and then another glass plate, and another Earth, and that's like what their dimensions are. So you see, like if something's gonna break through, it actually like shatters this glass, and they like come together. It's kind of a cool idea, but so his idea is he sets up these devices. Now, this confused me a little because he says the word devices, but what he means is giant fucking towers. And so when they guard the devices, I was like, what devices?
Yeah.
And then I realized they're talking about the towers about 2 comics later.
Yeah. Because when you say devices, he put a device. You're like, okay, something like
something
smaller,
handheld.
something, yeah. And then
a device.
But then, yeah, there are these giant gold towers that stretch to the sky.
Yeah. Like, why don't you just say I put these giant antenna rays or something? Much clearer for the reader of like what the fuck you're talking about.
I put these golden
antennae or whatever. Yeah, and they disrupt the frequencies, and that's why they have to be so high. And you go, okay, I'm looking for a giant golden tall thing. And you're like, oh, that's what they're. It took me literally more than this comic to figure out what devices are they talking about, and then I realized why are they always fighting at these fucking towers. And like, why are these towers on every Earth? And I was like, oh my God.
Those are the
devices. So maybe I'm slow. I don't know. That's where I was saying, like, there's no way that like all the reviews for this were like best comic of the 80s or something like from like some reporter who doesn't read comics or whatever. Like, and I'm like, there's no way that a normie read this comic and was like, yeah, I totally get it. Because I don't get a lot of this shit sometimes. And I
understood.
I know you understood everything.
I understood the towers.
John got it all.
No, I understood the towers. I did get that.
Okay, well,
it's like, okay,
good for you.
The devices.
Good for you.
But it still felt weird.
It's weird though, right?
Yeah, I was calling them devices.
Yeah. So his thing is these devices can stop or like protect the Earth from the antimatter walls that are coming. And so basically you just have to defend them until I guess his thing was like to figure out like how the frequencies can like balance off, and then either they come together as one and then they're like strong again or something, or I don't know what the end game was on that because they kind of they figure something else out later on. But like with these, they're at least protecting them for the meantime. But that means they're also getting attacked the whole time. So basically, he divides all these heroes that they've collected up into like groups of 5 or whatever, and send them off to each of these towers, to these devices, and to protect them. And so, like I said, all of them are getting like the shit beat out of them by like shadow demons and stuff. And one of these teams is Arion, that dude we were talking about from Atlantis, and Psycho Pirate and some other person. And Psycho Pirate, like right away, Pariah comes up out of nowhere. He just appears, and Psycho Pirate's like, and he like freaks out, and he like starts. he's like, you feel weird or whatever, like, because he like changes people's emotions or whatever. So he basically totally disables Pariah, just like because he was scared, or he was like,
yeah, he's like, he took off like a mask over his face, and then I was seeing his face.
So Psycho Pirate, let's just say what he looks like, because he's got a cool costume. I think he's got like a Harley Quinn-esque kind of costume where it's like red and black. He's got a big collar. So dig the big 80s collar, just like Nightwing had, the big ass collar.
Yeah.
Then he's got like this cool golden mask. And while he's got the mask on, it like he doesn't have his powers. But when he reveals his face, then you become whatever he wants you to, like as far as emotionally. So he reveals his face to Pariah, and Pariah like breaks down and like is totally disabled. And then before anybody really knows what's going on, like Psycho Pirate just like vanishes and gets taken into a dark room where there's an evil person who's like, yes, now you are with me, Psycho Pirate.
Psycho Pirate's like, why should I? He's like, because I said so.
Yeah, like basically, I'm a badass or whatever. So, and then also we get Harbinger being told during this whole thing, like, now you should kill the Monitor. Yes, because she's corrupted by that 1/1,000,000th of her or whatever that's evil. So she's like, yes, I will. I will kill him.
But I must.
Yeah, but I must. But I must. And,
She's like goleming in her head.
Yeah.
No, I can't do it. You must.
Yeah. And so, so yeah, that's issue 2. Pretty much like just getting this whole plan ready, setting it up, and finally we figure out that was his plan, was these rays. These rays are going to help, at least fight off this antimatter stuff. So, then we cut to issue 3, which is the Monitor starts running tests on Lex Jr., who's this baby, when they got him. But now
he's like a
Harbinger walks in, he's like a fucking boy. He's like 10 years old or some shit. He's like, hey, what's up, bitch? And like, and she's like, oh my God, you've grown up fast. And so, but that's where Monitor discovers that he's both matter and antimatter.
He is both positive and negative energy
together.
He is one. He could be the key.
Yeah. And so Harbinger, now that she's like evil, is like, ooh, I must tell my new master this development about the kid or whatever. And so then we get, okay, this one was confusing because I didn't quite understand that the antimatter wall was happening on every time period. So I thought every one of these was a different Earth, but it wasn't. It was like every one of these was on Earth 1, but they were just at different areas and stuff. So you have Earth 1, Flash is running. He's like, oh my God, all these natural disasters are happening because, like, the Earth is getting, like, fucked up by the antimatter. And so, like, he's saving people, and then, like, he sees a wall of antimatter coming. He's like, oh my God. And he, like, vibrates too fast, and then he, like, travels back in time. And I think this is the first time he's, like, without using the speed treadmill or whatever, the time treadmill, where he's, like, vibrated so fast that he, like, went back in time. I might be wrong about that. I'm not a giant Flash reader, but that makes sense for what they go
for such a big
later.
event too.
Yeah. And so like he goes back in time, and then we don't know where he went, but then on another area of Earth, Batman is fighting the natural disasters with the Outsiders. And so like, it's him and fucking Cyborg and Teen Titans basically, I think. I don't know, it's a bunch of those people. And they're like trying to save people, and then all of a sudden the Flash appears before him again, and he's like, oh my God, help me. It hurts so bad or whatever. And then he disappears again. And then Batman's like, God damn it, what's going on with Flash? And he just literally like looks like he's dissolving, and like
that one was cool because like the couple panels of like Batman being like, it's okay, Barry, and he's like and just like like slowly like disintegrating in front of him.
It was pretty awesome. And then we get we see Brainiac is like, I don't know, chilling through space, and he's like checking out. Well, hey, what's this animator wall going on all over the place over here? He sees it, and it starts like eat Earths and stuff, and he's like, oh, if it's killing everything in this universe, I'm in this universe, and I don't want to die, so I got to figure out a plan to defeat this. So he's like, I got to get me and my buddy Lex Luthor. So he's trying to find Lex Luthor. He goes to find him so they can come up with a plan, I guess, to defeat the antimatter. And then this is where I got confused, where I was saying like, so all of these are on Earth 1, but they're all at different times. So you have Earth 1, which is the main one that always has stories from like regular Batman and regular Superman. is getting hit by the wave at different times. So the first time is in 1944, and like the losers are fighting in like Nazi occupied Markovia or whatever. And so that's where we get. That's why I think they had Markovia in. Didn't they have it in the Justice League movie?
I think so.
Isn't that where that like family was being?
The Russian family, yeah.
Yeah. So you have the losers who you might remember from our Justice League New Frontier comic that we did, where they're like the opening story. They're just like soldiers that have like nothing to lose. So like they're like no family, no anything. They'll go anywhere. They're all badass. They all die, and so they all die.
That was kind of funny because Sergeant Rock, the leader, is like they're fighting Nazis, and then the
shadow
demons start appearing because they're near the Golden Tower thing, and then some of the heroes show up, and then Sergeant Rock's like, Psh, "Get out of here, heroes! This is a job for soldiers." And then he looks over and the shadow demons are touching the other soldiers. They're just disappearing. Dying.
This ain't no job for a Superman. This is a job for Sergeant Goddamn Rock. And so you don't have any rank here. Get out of here. And so basically they all die. And then in 1879, you get like Jonah Hex and all these like old school like
the
Western characters. They all fucking die. I think Nighthawk is like the main one that gets killed, but that's like I think a couple of them either who's it like Bat. I don't know. There's a bunch of Western characters that either get transported or erased or killed. So, and then it jumps ahead to the 30th century, and the Legion of Superheroes is fighting, and one of their Kid Psycho gets killed. So those are like the main characters. I don't know who any of these characters are that gets killed, which is good for them. They're like, hey, we can kill off all these people that no one gives a fuck about, and like clean up our continuity, and we don't have to. I mean, we can have them be like big moments, but they aren't actually big moments, kind of thing. So we have a lot of fodder. So they're kind of like Russia in World War II, where they can just. We have millions of people if we just send them to the front.
Wow.
Someone, at some point they will be overwhelmed by the numbers. So, or at least the bodies, they won't be able to climb up them. So, yeah. So that's like this issue was interesting just because they had like that idea of like, oh, it's happening in all time, all space. So like no matter what year it is, it's happening. And that's kind of interesting. And then Harbinger returns after telling her new master, hey, he's like that Alex Jr. is he's like antimatter and matter or whatever, and she comes back and she's like, oh, I must kill Monitor. So she walks up to him and is like, hey, and just like bam, and like kills him with a blast of energy. Yeah. And
see, so you didn't quite get the towers. This is what confused me. Because she kills him, and then we don't see him again for a little bit, but then we see him again, and then he's fine. It's like none of that happened. I was like, "What's going on?" That's like, oh, that was because of the different time.
Yeah, this is the confusing thing because that was the end of issue 3. Issue 4 starts. Basically, it just picks up where she left, and since we were on Earth 1 following the heroes, this is what Monitor was doing while that was going on.
Yeah.
So number 4 or issue 4, it's like it starts off with Earth 6 dying completely. Pariah has to watch it, of course, like he's watching all these Earths die. And he actually saves a person. He saves Lady Quark. I have no idea who she is or whether she is important at all, but I just put her name down because maybe she is. And so Pariah like takes her and he's like, I will transport you.
It's the only person that he saved in all these so far. Yeah. So we're like, well, maybe she'll show up again.
Yeah, like we said, we're doing half the story, so if we remembered all these names for no fucking reason, I'm gonna be mad.
Lady Quark better be amazing.
Yeah, Lady Quark and Pariah better have a fucking kid, and that kid is Superman or something, the new one or something, because she's in it for some reason we don't know why. So what Monitor has now that like he's the towers are working. Whoever can hold off the demons, the tower devices are working. So. But the problem is they're having trouble with holding off the demons. So he's like, okay, I got a great idea. I'm going to create a new Dr. Light. I'm going to get this Japanese broad who's like a scientist, badass lady or whatever, and I'm going to like turn her into the new Dr. Light. Now, you might remember me talking about Dr. Light last week. It's a different Dr. Light. It's not that Dr. Light. I mean, it's the same character basis or whatever.
The last Dr. Light was rapey and very like.
Well, she's evil too. She's a bad guy. She's not like a good guy, I don't think. But she definitely wants to save the Earth because she doesn't want to die from antimatter. So, I think later on she is bad, like like she's a bad guy. I think I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read some of that stuff. So, but I'm pretty sure that Dr. Light's always a bad guy for the most part. So he creates Dr. Light, who's like this is my badass character, or like my badass warrior, and she's gonna come kill all these shadow demons. What she does, she's like, he creates her, she takes off, and starts like fucking, like just, beaming, like exactly,
light,
exactly. You're like a light character, right? So like you're fighting shadows, all you gotta do is shine light on them, right? It's like Alan Wake. You ever play that video game, Alan Wake?
Yeah, just turn on the flashlight.
Yeah, you just flashlight the shit out of them. So it's exactly like that. They could just make a Dr. Light game and just call it, Dr. Light, and then it'll just be that game though. The same, just put a different like a cape on her, or him, and then like it's all good. So, but so then we cut to like an actual scene of like the real death of Monitor, where like this is just the more in-depth version of what happened at the very end of the last issue.
Yeah,
but I think the last issue just ends with like, and now you will die, and then like the beam comes out. And then it hits him, and he's like, and then it like cuts. Whereas this is like, the beam hits him, he falls like 6 stories in his spaceship, breaks his neck and his legs on the way down or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's for sure dead now. He's fucking dead. All right. So now we pick up like kind of where the end of 3, happened. And Monitor is dead. But the cool thing about that, apparently, is, as we were saying, Earth 1 and 2 are getting hit by the antimatter waves, and they're actually like, they dissolve at the end of issue 4, like fully. So like they get taken out. But because the Monitor is badass or powerful enough or whatever, when he dies, he like is able to create like a pocket limbo dimension for them.
Called the Netherworld.
Netherlands.
But it is a limbo-esque dimension or whatever.
Yeah, and so I'm just calling it limbo because that's what the issue 5 is called, limbo. And so he puts Earth 1 and 2 into a limbo dimension where they're like almost fusing, but they're not quite. So there's like weird shit going on where like now dinosaurs are appearing in the Mall of America, and like, Commandy is hanging out.
Those are some of my favorite panels. It was showing like normal things in time, then like spaceships, and then dinosaurs. And then Batman's like, what the is going on?
What is going on? So
solve that one, Cape Crusader.
Yeah.
Mr. Detective.
So and the whole time, like this whole thing, there are other Earths that are around. There's like specifically 5 other Earths that have survived. There's 5 Earths that have survived, the 2 that are in this other dimension, because Monitor statement, and there's 3 left that have not been killed. There is
just a note on that is to put a perspective on how like crazy the power is that's going after these Earths here in this story. Apparently thousands of other universes have already been destroyed.
Yeah, there wasn't like 10 Earths. There was like infinite Earths.
Yes.
And now there's only 5 left.
Now we're down to this last tiny group of them, and that's like why this.
And that's just because they've had Dr. Light helping them fight at the towers.
Yes.
Like, so they have enough good heroes left at these towers of these last 3 Earths.
Apparently the Superman and all the other heroes of those other thousands of Earths suck.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to say. Dude, shit's weak.
Yeah, exactly. It's Bizarro or some shit, And so we got 3 Earths left, and we're actually, before we get to that, we're introduced to the big bad. So we get, now the Monitor's dead, but guess what? There's a new Monitor, a better Monitor, the real Monitor, the bad Monitor. All right, so there's another guy.
Himself the Monitor, but
he calls himself the Monitor. He doesn't look like the Monitor. He looks like a robot. He looks like a robot of the Monitor.
Yeah, he kind of to me he kind of reminded me of like Apocalypse or Darkseid a little.
Yes, but it's weird because so I've always seen pictures of the Anti-Monitor because he gets another costume. There's 3 fucking monitors in this, right? There's Monitor 1, the good guy. There's Monitor 2, the bad Monitor, who's like a robot. Then there's like Monitor 3, who's the Anti-Monitor, who is just Monitor 2 in a different costume and with a different name. And those 2 are both in this series. All 3 of those are in the series.
Okay.
Little confusing. And I've only seen the third one. Like, he's always the toy or the whatever, like the third version of Monitor. So, but it's not the same Monitor. So we call him Bad Monitor because this Monitor... I'm sorry, the Anti-Monitor and Bad Monitor are the same guy, but the first Monitor and the Bad Monitor are not the same guy. So Bad Monitor is the one that corrupted Harbinger, told her to kill Good Monitor. And so, and the Monitor is such a weird name for a character, by the way. She's like the guy who sits there and watches.
Who sits and watches.
Yeah.
And see, when he first
call him the manager.
When he first popped up, I thought he was going to be like the Watcher in Marvel. It was like he was just like overseeing everything, but then he gets directly involved. I was like, okay, no, this is going a different.
Yeah, no, it's totally. I mean, it's kind of a similar idea, but just not like he actually gets involved.
But yeah, he is like involved. So.
Yeah, the Watcher doesn't. I mean, he's gotten involved every now and then, but
for the most
he should
part,
not have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah.
So Bad Monitor.
Bad Monitor is like, okay. Like, besides Psycho Pirate, who's kind of annoying, he's kind of been pissing me off because Psycho Pirate is a little bitch in this a little bit.
He's like, when are you going to give me what I promised? I said
like,
I was on your side now.
Yeah,
so.
You said you were going to give me like worlds or people to like corrupt, like emotionally. So basically, okay, so Psycho Pirate is insane. And what he wants to do is he wants to have, like, he likes to let out he can only let out his emotions through other people. So he's got to like control them with emotions, which makes him happy. But too many people, it's like too many things going on, right? So like the guy or the Bad Monitor is like, hey, I'll give you what you want. Like, here's the last 3 worlds. You like control their people while I like kill them all. So all the people on these last 3 Earths are kind of under his control. And he's just like, hey, everybody, why don't we Netflix and chill? Why don't we just calm down a bit? There's nothing to freak out about. Why are we trying to fight? And like, so everybody's kind of like, yeah. Why are we trying to fight? Like, you know, we should just walk towards the white wall.
Yeah, let's just all walk together. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of noticing like, hey, why is everybody acting weird? Like, why are the people like literally walking to their deaths into the antimatter wall and stuff? And so yeah, he satiates Psycho Pirate with that, and then he's like, you know what else we need? I want to get Red Tornado up here for some reason. We don't really know why. He's like, I just want to corrupt that motherfucker for some reason. And then also I'm going to get Barry Allen, and you can fuck with Barry Allen too if you want. So like Psycho Pirate gets to fuck with Barry Allen. His powers are like at the height. Psycho Pirate's powers are at their height right now because he's got like the power of millions of people's emotions behind him or whatever. So, or billions of people, I guess, because it's like 3 Earths or whatever. So, and so he's like, basically the more people he's like using their emotions, the more power he has, but he's also like crazier and shit. So, but Barry Allen is able to fight him off a bit. So, he's not really getting turned by the emotions of Psycho Pirate.
I assume that was because his mind could move so fast, he would eventually move past his emotions.
Like he could just vibrate his brain.
Something like that. That's why I was like, how is he doing this?
I don't know. Yeah, just the will of Barry Allen.
Yes.
You know, come on. Him and Hal are best friends. He's got to learn some kind of willpower. Yeah. So yeah, and then and that's pretty much issue 5 is just that. Like them, that's like the main things, while Dr. Light is like fighting off people on the last 3 years. Then the last 3 years are left, we find out in issue 6 are Earth X, Earth S with the like snake, Earth S. And then I thought it was 5. It looked like a 5 to me.
It looked like a 5.
Yeah, so I was like, Earth 5, what the fuck is that? And Earth X is like what if World War II never ended? So it's like a constant World War II for the last 60 years or whatever has been happening on this Earth. So you get like the Freedom Fighters, who's like a hero team, and it's got Uncle Sam, and he's got his stupid fucking hat on and everything looks just like that character, Uncle Sam. You got a bunch of other people like that in it. And then Earth S is actually the Captain Marvel or Shazam family. Yeah. So it's all of them. And I thought it was funny when they get like when I can't remember who goes there, but I thought it was funny that they the Shazam family, like rather than like wait to hear what someone has to say, they're like, "You're different and weird." Like
you guys must be causing all this crazy stuff, huh?
You're the ones doing this. So they just start beating the shit out of like the heroes and people that come to help them. They just start fighting them, which I thought was funny. But they actually get beat by the people, which was interesting since they're pretty strong in their own right as far as power teams go. So and then that's Earth S, and then Earth 4 is the Charlton characters. That is Blue Beetle, Question, and Captain Atom if he survives, which we know he doesn't. So that's the Earth from them, or those are the Earths that have lasted. So like we said, Psycho Pirate has been rewarded control over these by the bad Monitor.
Wait. What's the third Earth? It's X,
S, and 4.
And 4. Okay, that's right. 4.
Yeah, 4 is the Charlton.
I'll get this wrong. I lost track.
We'll call Earth S. It should be called Earth F because it's the Fawcett characters.
Yeah,
that's what their comics were called before. And then it should be Earth C because it's the Charlton, but it's Earth 4. But but yeah, so it was like those are just introducing new characters that they never had before, or that they hadn't. I don't know if they bought the Fawcett characters at the same time or not, but maybe they did. Maybe that's why they were introducing them in this too. But yeah. So and then Earth X is like I don't know why they picked Earth X. Like, why would you care about the Earth that World War II has been happening in forever?
It's important, man.
I guess. Sure. Never forget. You'll never really forget on this. So, yeah. And so, like we said, Psycho Pirate has like made everybody kind of like docile and everything in these. We should say, because we kind of like forgot to mention this, but Harbinger, like once she kills the Monitor, is like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I'm good now. And everybody's like, all right, we believe you. And so
yeah, she goes back to her like Lila form, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, oh, it's weird because she's like, oh, my Harbinger power is gone, and I can't believe, like, I can't believe I did that. And they're like, oh, okay, we get it. But then she gets Harbinger powers again,
and they're not worried or weirded about it or anything. So, so yeah, she gets Harbinger powers again. What she does, and the reason why like these last 3 years are kind of like able to hold off longer than all the other ones, along with Dr. Light helping on some of them, is she's like, you shall not pass, and like makes like crystal walls or whatever for them, which actually takes all of her strength, and with all of her last life force, she takes those 3 Earths away from the antimatter and puts them in the Netherverse or the other world or limbo or whatever. So now we got 5 Earths all in this one limbo, area.
But things are moving and vibrating and
yeah, like
coming together.
They're trying to come together, but they're not quite. They're out of phase slightly, and so you can see like kind of ghosts of other people, but it's not, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's very like some of those were pretty cool too. And then throughout all of this, you also have Alex Luthor, who's like, I just need 5 more minutes, and I'm gonna figure out how to because he said the Monitor like kind of told me what to do, but like I don't quite know everything. So,
yeah, he looked through his notes and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, so I need like 5 more minutes, and I will be able to fix everything.
Also, he's like kind of a teenager now. So
yeah, that's true. He's like a young adult.
Yeah, he's like 14 or something.
Was it 14, 16?
Yeah, let's say 15.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. It just leaves right there. So this is like we read the setup for everything cool, because like you said, I peeked ahead at the next issue cover, and it's like, oh, like finally shit really starts to happen the next issue. So stick with us, guys.
Yeah.
Next episode's gonna be part 2 of this. It's gonna be all the cool shit that this leading up is.
It has to be, because I will say this, because because we're not gonna grade them. I would say I would.
We're not gonna grade this one. We're gonna say how we feel possibly this series would be graded based on this, but we're not going to actually grade it. But
no,
how would you potentially grade this?
Right now, I am leaning at a 5.
Okay, yeah,
and that's only because there's so much exposition, there's so much stuff, and there's characters that are like I don't care or who these are, and like none of my characters, none of the big characters we know have really done anything cool either. So
nothing yet. Yeah.
Okay, like something's gonna happen eventually,
like,
right?
Wow, Dr. Light. You're like, I don't know who Dr. Light is.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Blue Beetle.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even like Superman, like he like.
There's 2 Superman in this. There's Earth 1 and Earth 2. So there's old Superman and young Superman.
And neither really like one of them saves someone from a falling building, and then another one saves Lois from a saber-toothed cat. He like punches him. Oh, it's Earth 2 Superman. He like punches the one, and then Lois is like, Superman, you've got like gray in your hair, and then Superman 1 comes down and he's like, men. Oh, hey, yeah, this is my other Superman. You know, if the 3 of us want to hook up later.
Yeah, little menage a trois.
A super menage a trois.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was like, yeah, like nobody does anything in this.
No.
And also, we didn't mention, was one little thing that happened, I guess, like, also on Oa, and like none of the Green Lanterns.
Oh yeah, they talk about the Green Lanterns like not really. They don't really show up in this too much or anything, but
just like well, the main one that we get in our story is Jon Stewart,
right?
But like his ring like stops working like halfway through these 6 issues, and we're like, what's going on? And they show, I guess like all the
there's a history because Oa was around way back when, and so there's like I read a little bit ahead of this. Because it's like, what is this bullshit they're talking about? So basically, there was this guy in the way future, in the year 1 million, I believe, who was in Oa, who like, who found a way to look into the past with dimensional, like, antimatter stuff.
Okay.
And that's what ended up causing all of this. That's like the cause of it. The wave starting was this guy like had a beam and he was an Owen. Like he was one of the.
Oh, so you really did just ruin everything for me.
Potentially. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's fine.
This is what I just read ahead. And I'm like, because I'm like, what are they talking about?
All I was going to say is that, yeah, it was weird because like all the council on Oa got like put in stasis, and like the power battery where they all get their energy from is not working. So like even like they show like one little panel of like a bunch of Green Lanterns like landing on Oa, like what the hell, man? And like no, why aren't our rings working? This is weird. And then that's all I was going to say is like it was interesting.
I know what you're going to say. I looked ahead because I'm like, what does Oa have to do with this? And it was like it wasn't ahead on the comic. So, but it was like, oh, someone was explaining something.
Oh, yeah, he ruined this whole thing for me.
I didn't ruin the whole thing, John.
No, I'm excited to get to the second part and see where things are going. Like you said. There's definitely at least 1 or 2 bigger deaths coming probably.
Yeah,
so
for sure. There's 2 deaths at least coming that are big, or that were big for a long time. We'll say, and so yeah. On that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planetrainscomicbooks, all one word, @gmail.com.
Don't forget about our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter. We got lots of fun content coming out here, and we got some holiday stuff just around the corner.
Yeah. And also I'm on 5.2 right now. I forgot to say my rating right now is the 5, a confused 5. so on that note, we'll see you guys next time
on the next one.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.